Hey yo, how's it going everyone? Entropy here today with another video. Today I just want to go through the top 5 things, in my opinion, that Vanguard Zero did well, did right, whatever you want to say. So I guess starting from number 5, tournament support. So as you may know, Vanguard Zero, at least in the global side, I believe in the JP side as well, they provided support for online tournaments. And this includes tournament prizes for participants. You know, if you, depending on the brackets, like if you're 8 to 15 participants, the first place gets 5 gacha tickets, and that's quite a lot. Up to, you know, if there's 64 participants and more, first place gets you 20 packs and 200 V medals. And that's quite a hefty number of packs that you just gift away when these tournaments can be held for free. And definitely a really great way to engage your players outside of just ranked fight. In addition, there also is incentives for tournament organizers. So for example, a good friend of mine, Korak, he organizes tournaments and he is an official Vanguard Zero ambassador. And what that means is he gets that little amazing title, and in addition, he will get packs. So with organizing a tournament with 16 or more participants, you get 5 packs, and with 32 or more, you get 10 packs. So that's pretty good. So there is an incentives for players to join tournaments and incentives for people to organize tournaments. And so that is just great. It's very nice of them to do that. And definitely also makes it so then people from around the world can organize their own tournaments according to their time zones or their community or their locals, and saves the official Vanguard Zero group a lot of hassle as well. So that's definitely really great. And it's nice to see support in that regard. Next up, for number 4, we have crossovers with Hololive, with Suisei, and Sakura Miko. So, of course, in global, we only saw one of them, but it's just amazing to me that in JP, we saw crossovers with Hololive, which is a pretty big thing right now. And then being able to actually port that to global server, you know, I really wanted it, but I didn't expect it. And this was just pretty amazing that they did. And to add on top of that, you know, the cherry on top is that they actually made changes to the system, the way they do crossovers. So if you play global, or if you remember JP from a while back, the Suisei, the way it works was you would collect these tokens from rank fight, from winning rank fight, or character fights, and you would have to open the gacha to get these to get a chance to get these SP Suiseis. But for the second crossover event with Sakura Miko, they actually noticed that people weren't really that happy with how it was done because there's too much variance with the gacha and like it's difficult to complete everything. So instead of that, they actually changed to a point completion system. And I think that's just really, I think it's definitely a good thing. You know, responding to ideas or thoughts from your player base is definitely very important. And being able to make that switch and confidently do that is just really good in my book. In addition, they also put more effort into the card art as well. And in the global one, you wouldn't see the difference because we started off with the good art. But previously, you know, it was a really bland background for Suisei, and they made it really elegant and worthy of being a crossover unit. Number 3, clan events. Now, clan events, of course, we haven't seen this in global yet. So if this is the first chance of you hearing this, you know, stay tuned for more. As you may know, clan events has run started from Grand Blue to Spike Brothers, and this includes other clans like Tachikaze, Mirakumo, Mega Colony, Neo Nectars, and Nubatama in JP recently. But it was always difficult to complete these cards, right? For example, Spike Brothers, there's 3 clan events already. 3 sets of different gacha, 3 different card pools. You know, from set 1, you might still want your Juggernaut Maximums. From set 2, you still want your Dudley Emperors. From set 3, you want your Bad End Draggers. And how are you supposed to finish this, right? It's so hard, right? What happens when there's a set 4, set 5, set 6? What are we gonna do? It's hard to get packs. So recently, from the JP anniversary, first year anniversary, they introduced clan event banners, and this includes 2 different banners, the first one being Tachikaze, Grand Blue, and Mirakumo, and the next being Spike Brothers, Neo Nectar, and Mega Colony. And it's just a long-awaited alternative to complete your decks. It's a great way you can actually use your gacha packs, and I think it's a really good long-run decision to include this. I mean, I personally would implement character fights, but since you can still grind for materials through the events, I think that is the unique part of these event clans. I suppose you still gotta stick to that plan, but I think that being able to use your normal packs and roll for these event clans that you might want to play, like if you're a Mirakumo main, you don't have to wait for the event clan or wait for that set number or period to open your packs anymore. You can actually use those packs that you grinded for your own clan, and I think that's really nice. Gives support to niche clans, and in the long run, when certain clans like Grand Blue or New Nectar get main character level of support, if you're a G-era player, you would know what I'm talking about. The event clan system that we have right now isn't really sustainable, and including them, gradually transitioning them into the gacha is definitely a good move in my book. Number 2, not being afraid of making changes. Buffs, nerfs, before or after its debut. And I think this is a really important point, and I always give major props, but I guess this is just a really conclusive, really quick summary of all my positive thoughts about Vanguard Zero. Balance is important, obviously, and many games focus on nerfs and rarely buff to sell the new cards, right? If you play Hearthstone, if you play, TCG, even Vanguard, the TCG itself, it's a lot about bans, restrictions, nerfs, erratas, you know what I'm saying, right? Like, you rarely see cards that get buffed in card games. And in Zero, they actually actively buff cards. And anecdotally, I didn't really go through the numbers, but personally, I feel like there's just more buffs than nerfs. And that's just a really positive thing. It gives people a reason to value these older cards. There's increased investment value. And it's also important to recognize that they are walking on a tightrope, right? They're using TCG assets. There's only so much they can use. There's only so many cards that were printed. I don't know if they have the creative liberty to create their own cards, but I believe that could be a hurdle for another day. And also, they have to balance 3 different things, right? They have to balance Zero gameplay. The game is very different from the TCG just from the get-go of trying to simplify it, right? No guarding or lack of guarding options, grade 2F intercepts, deck size, triggers. There's so many different things. They have to balance that. They have to balance the cards itself, and they have to balance the clans themselves, right? Certain clans, if you give, everyone the similar cards just based on their clan mechanic, retired clans like Kagero or Narukami would definitely outperform superior call clans just because of how the game works in a nutshell. So big or small, major or minor, these changes are definitely welcome in my book. And 2 big examples I think of would be a nerf or a change. The first one being Commander Laurel. It got buffed from 4K to 7K, but its skill changed from when your Vanguard attack hits, rest 4 rearguards to stand your Vanguard. Now, this seems like a buff on paper, but it's important to recognize that this doesn't cover your Vanguard's twin drive, so it's actually a minus. So it's like a little trade-off between extra stats for the lack of twin drive and the additional twin drive. Because in the TCG, when you would restand, of course it's harder to pull off, but you would get extra 2 cards in your hand. But in Zero, it doesn't do that. So I think this is an interesting thing to do, and definitely is a change. Next up with Reiji. Reiji was a very recent buff. If you're playing global, you might not know of this yet, but in JP, they actually changed it up and made it a lot, quite a bit better. So the old text says, when placed, put 3 cards of the same name as one of your rearguards from your deck to your soul, but the new skill says, when placed, put 3 cards from the same name as one of your rearguards from drop zone or your deck to the soul, prioritizing drop zone. And this definitely helps with your deck issue. You're dropping all the cards that you want into the drop zone. It has better synergy with cards like Dimension Creeper, and there's just multitudes of implications with these kind of changes. And in addition, it also got a new skill when attacking a Vanguard. Soul Charge 1 get plus 1k. Small changes here and there, but if you think about it, Reiji is actually meta right now in JP. In many of the tier lists, whether you're looking at game width or game box, Reiji is rated quite highly, and this card is an old card, right? You know, you have Amon Reverse, but even the pure Amon Reverse build is not as popular or not as rated highly as Blade Ring Reiji. And so, you know, bringing these cards some balance updates and giving value to these old cards definitely helps, and gives people value to keep playing with your account. You know, stick with it, build up your collection, because you never really know when your old cards could become extremely relevant in the future meta, and this is great, and this is definitely great. And number one, last but not least, defining global and JP. What do I mean by that? Global always felt like a behind version of JP, but now I feel like it's slowly becoming its own game. Let me explain. So, for example, in global, you know, originally I believe, you know, people speculate that they had an intention to catch up with JP with release schedules, you know, having merge sets that JP didn't in order to catch up. But people spoke out and said, you know, this isn't great, you know, it's hard to collect packs anyways, you didn't give us the same amount of packs, so how are we going to catch up? You know, it's not really feasible, doesn't really make sense, and definitely hurts. And so, you know, global were like, okay, well, let's change it up, let's just set our own pace and work our way gradually up. It's okay to be behind, and we will just play our cards right and make some changes here and there to make it fresh. Secondly, ranked reward distributions from top 1k into top 3k for global. And this is great because, you know, you as a JP player, you might go like, oh, this is too easy, you know, global easy game. But, you know, from what I've seen, the global player base is much larger than the JP player base. Of course, there are people from foreign countries playing JP as well, but there are, you know, a lot of people playing global just in general, you know, in comparison. And so having that top 3k, changing the reward structure, you know, giving 2 SPs to top 500 instead of top 100, these little small things definitely help with, you know, customer satisfaction, and definitely makes me feel like it's a lot easier to just achieve something in game. And so that's definitely really nice. Makes it a lot more, I guess, less hard on yourself, not as much pressure, and I'm sure everyone is just happy. You know, whether you're casual, just getting to top 3k gets you an SP, or whether you're competitive, you know, even if I don't get top 100, top 500 still gives me the same reward, so I'm okay with that. You know, like small things like that definitely helps. Crafting systems as well, guaranteed drops instead of double drops. You can argue which one is better, but global heard people, you know, talk about how the drops are stupid, you know, they should be guaranteed, and so they made that change to cater for the global audience, and that's great. Next is the TCG release campaigns, you know, from the sleeves from the events, you know, whether that's just a Twitter campaign or reacting to the post, or Halloween event for the reward sleeves, or sleeves from purchases from booster boxes like JP. You know, there is a different approach. You can again argue which one's better. Personally, I'm a lazy person. I just might as well just give a reaction on Facebook and hope we all achieve the goals. But I mean, you know, like these little small things small changes definitely characterizes each server and their demographic, and it's important to recognize different demographics and the culture and cater to your audience, and that's something that I believe that Bushiroad and Game Studio are definitely moving towards the right direction, differentiating their servers and their games, and I definitely think that this is a positive. So that is basically it. Let me know down below which things that Vanguard Zero Global or JP did surprisingly well in your opinion. What is the one thing that you really appreciated Bushiroad or Game Studio doing in this game in 2020, and one thing that you hope they will do moving into 2021. So this is it from Entropy Vanguard. I hope you all have a happy holiday, whether you're celebrating Christmas or Hanukkah, all the good stuff. I just hope everyone stay safe, everyone have a good time, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.